Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Rhonda Stitman. I'm the owner of the 15-Minute Mindset Shift. In the 15-Minute Mindset Shift, we talk about intentional futurism. And essentially, intentional futurism is this idea that you have to live every single day with intent, making decisions and choices that will please your future self. Okay. You can't just head on along on autopilot. And the way we do that is by overcoming procrastination, which hopefully is why you are all here today. We do that through learning how to make good decisions and getting over indecision. Indecision usually shows up as overwhelm, feeling stuck, being on autopilot. Like, every day is just the same as the last. And then we also do that by having a rock solid plan for the goals that we want to achieve and how we want to achieve them. I have something sticky all over my hand. It's really quite gross. Toddlers, right? Okay, there was a sucker on the floor. So, anyway, I digress. I just don't want to touch my mouse with sticky fingers. So the way this presentation is going to go today, we're going to have me. For some of the time, I'll be talking directly to you. And then at other points of the times, I'm going to have some slides that I want to show you. So when I have the slides on the screen, I want you to be able to actually see the words on there. So it'll look a little bit like this. Let me make sure that I'm actually sharing that screen for you guys. So it's going to look like this. All right. You're going to see the slide, but you won't see me. All right. And again, this is just because I want you to be able to see what's going on. Also, since I am using StreamYard, make sure that either you give StreamYard permission to display your name or you comment your name so that I can see who you are and what you're saying. Looks like I can't respond to those comments directly on Facebook, but if I see them, I'll try and respond to them orally. All right. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the reason we're here today, and again, a really warm welcome for making this big step in deciding to learn these productivity techniques that will help you on your journey towards intentional futurism. So procrastination is a big problem, both for individuals and just in general in this country. But did you know that procrastination can actually make you physically sick? Okay, so by procrastinating, this can increase your anxiety, it can increase your stress, which over time can have actual effects to your physical health. So, in turn, then, by learning ways to become more productive, we can hopefully start to reduce our stress, reduce our anxiety, and start to work toward healing some of that damage to our bodies from procrastination. Okay. So I just want to talk a little bit about the purpose of why we're here. Again, we're going to explore a few different productivity techniques that are going to help you overcome procrastination. But I'm going to tell you right now, really the best thing for procrastination is to just get the mindset that I'm going to just friggin' do this. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to start working. Beyond that, though, let's talk about some ways to make that happen. So the topics today that we're going to cover, we're going to start off talking a little bit about procrastination, what it is, what causes it. Then we're going to talk about the 3 different productivity techniques. The first one is the Pomodoro Technique. Then we're going to talk about the Eisenhower Method. And then we'll go into a little bit of time blocking. And then I am going to actually show you how I use all 3 of these together to be even more productive. Okay. So let's talk about oh, it went backwards. There we go. Let's talk about procrastination. All right. So what is it? Webster's dictionary says that procrastination is a knowing or habitual putting off tasks that you know you should do now. Okay, so I wanna talk about that for a second. First is the willing part. In almost every case, procrastination, when we were children, started as willingly putting things off. Uh, but then that second part, or habitual. Okay, so sometimes procrastination can become a habit. It's not something that we're intending to do, but it's a habit that has at some point in our life served us. And so we have held on to that. Um, so, what we need to take away from that is we can change this. We can work to overcome the issues of procrastination, just like we can hopefully start to reverse some of those physical effects of procrastination. Okay. So what causes procrastination? Again, it can be a habit, but before it becomes a habit, it's typically caused by a couple things. Number one is fear. It can be fear of failure, fear that it's not perfect, fear that it won't go well. I suppose that's failure as well. It can be caused by a lack of motivation. The biggest one here is you just don't want to do it. I will be the first one to tell you it is very difficult, both from just a motivation standpoint, but even from an actual psychological standpoint. If you don't want to do something, it's hard to get your brain to do it. And then another cause of procrastination is poor time management. Certainly, there are other things that can lead to procrastination, but these are some of the big ones. And as a consequence, when you procrastinate, your work quality goes down, right? I know some people, and myself included, actually feel like we do our best work under pressure. Okay, and that might be true-ish. But I also know that if I work hard and I get a draft out and I allow myself some time to put it aside, get it out of my mind, and come back and look at it again, I almost always end up with a better product. So I might have myself convinced that procrastination makes me more productive because I get to this panic mode. But the reality is, whatever it is I'm producing under panic mode, under procrastination mode, I could be doing so much better work if I actually got on top of things and didn't put it off. Um, as I mentioned up front, another consequence of procrastination is it increases your stress, it increases your anxiety, and has that negative impact on overall well being. So, you may have heard that both stress and anxiety can increase the amount of cortisol in our body, and cortisol is our stress hormone. It's also responsible for adding extra stubborn belly fat and causing these negative impacts on our well being. So, if you can reduce your cortisol, you can reduce your stress, you can start to reduce some of that, hopefully, with hard work. Okay. All right. So, that being said, let's dig in to some of these specific productivity techniques I want to talk about today. So, the first one is the Pomodoro Technique. Okay, so what is the Pomodoro Technique? Um, I have a neat little graphic here. Fun. Hopefully, you enjoy this the way that I do. The Pomodoro Technique was developed in the late 1980s by Francesco Cirillo. And he's the one that came up with this idea. Pomodoro is actually Italian for tomato, and he named this technique after the popular tomato shaped timers that they have all over Italy. So, although this technique was first popularized in the late 1980s, there is an idea called sprint interval training that goes all the way back to the 1950s, where we used this idea of work really hard, take a break, work really hard in elite athletes. Later on, the sprint interval training became in the exercise world what's known as high intensity interval training. So you may have heard of that. And the Pomodoro technique is similar in concept. Okay. So the way it works is we're going to start right here and we are going to set a timer for 25 minutes and we're going to sit down and we're going to work on the things on our to-do list. When that timer goes off, we're going to reset the timer for 5 minutes and take a break. Okay, we're going to get up, we're going to stretch, take a walk, maybe do a few yoga postures, maybe use some breathing exercises. Then after that 5-minute timer, we reset it for 25 minutes and we get back to work. Okay. And we repeat this cycle 25 minutes on, 25 minutes off until we find that we have completed an entire cycle. So I go 25 on, 5 off, 25 on, 5 off. I do that 3.5 times. Then you take a longer break. This is where you can maybe go for a longer walk, grab something to eat. If you are lucky enough to work from home, maybe you could grab, use some television, scroll the internet, like that. Okay, so essentially, like I mentioned, with the concept of high intensity interval training, you work as hard as you can for 1 minute, and then you take a break, or 4 minutes, and then you take a break. And this is the same concept. So let's go back to our slide presentation now that we kind of know what the Pomodoro technique is, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay. So again, remember, it works by using those short, focused 25-minute bursts of work, followed by those short breaks. And then after doing several of these rotations, you build in a longer break. Okay. This allows you to stay productive. Okay. It allows you to say, for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to work on this. I'm not going to check my email. I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm going to put myself on do not disturb, and I'm going to work for 25 minutes. It allows you to then also direct your focus and concentration, which helps then with reducing those procrastination tendencies. So there are a couple different ways you can do this. I do recommend actually setting a timer. It doesn't have to be a physical timer sitting on your desk. It could be a app. If you're working in some productivity softwares, a lot of them will have a timer that you can use. For example, like Canva's whiteboard has a timer that you can set. But an actual physical timer works great for this method. So if you don't want to download an app to your phone, just grab a timer. Now, you may find that the 25-minute to 5-minute work to break ratio is not perfect for you. It's okay to adjust that. If you may find that you need shorter work times, like maybe you can only work for 20 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. You may find that you're capable of longer durations of focus. And so maybe you extend your 25-minute timer out to 45 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. All of these are okay. You just need to find what works best for you and make sure that you're eliminating distractions. And one note of caution. Okay, so this is one of the, or maybe the major drawbacks to the Pomodoro technique. And that is, you want to be cautious of interrupting the creative flow. So if you're in the middle of a work block and your timer goes off, that can be really detrimental sometimes to the creative process if it distracts you. Also, I want you to feel the freedom that if you're in that creative process and your timer goes off, keep working. The second you see yourself losing focus, though, that's when I want you to stop and take your 5-minute break and start your cycle over again. Okay, excellent. So the next thing I want to talk about, the next productivity technique, is the Eisenhower Method. This was actually introduced, or rather popularized and named after the former U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And essentially, this is a way to keep you productive by helping you prioritize your tasks. So the idea here is you have to assign every single task an importance and an urgency. So importance, these are those things that just they really need to get done. If it gets something doesn't happen, that's going to be detrimental. And urgent means that it has a timeline and that timeline is coming up really soon. So let's go over and take a look at how this would work in somewhat of a real life example here. Okay. So let's see if we start off with this list of tasks here. And this is really quite general. I made this up for the purpose of our discussion today. So the first one, prepare a presentation for an important client meeting. Okay. So we're going to take that one and we're going to drag that over here in front. Okay. We're going to just stick this here because it's important. All right. It is not showing up. There we go. To the front. Let's make these all come to the front too so we don't run into that problem. Oh, okay. Well, we will. Anyhow, so respond to urgent emails. That doesn't really tell us anything about importance. So, okay, complete a critical report. That sounds pretty urgent to me, right? So let's put that over here on the important list and let's make sure that it comes to the front. Attend a team meeting. Okay. Well, we don't know if that's important or not, right? But we're going to put it on the important list, and I'll tell you why in one moment. Follow up with potential leads and clients. Okay, that's important, but we're going to put that down here for a minute. All right, review and prioritize your to-do list for the upcoming week. Okay, we're also going to put that down here for now. Delegate non-critical administrative tasks to team members. Non-critical. Okay. That tells us right there where we're going to put it. We're going to bring that all the way to the front and we're going to move it down here. Conduct research for a new product proposal. Is that important or not? Well, yeah, a new product. We need to make sure that we're doing that. So let's put that up here. Organize and file important documents and paperwork. Okay, it says that it's important documents. So we probably want to put those up here. All right. So let's do that and let's bring that up there. All right, this last one, respond to urgent emails from colleagues and clients. So let's get that here under important. That's something we need to do. Okay. So there's one thing I want to point out here. We've been saying important and non-important. All right. So I want to stop and say that this is really important. Okay. If it's not important, it doesn't belong on your to-do list. Period. Okay. You either delegate it or just eliminate it in general. So I like to think of this as important, not important. It's I must do it or I can delegate. So now that sort of helps us to think a little bit about these things. So we're going to come over here. We're going to look at our Eisenhower matrix. And remember, we've made this modification here. Instead of having urgent and non-urgent and then important and non-important, we still have the urgent and non-urgent because that time frame is still going to become relevant. But now we have those things that I have to do versus the things that maybe I can delegate. Okay, prepare a presentation for an important client meeting. All right, so thinking about our new criteria, this isn't important versus non-important. So now we have 4 places that we could potentially put this. Okay, it's an important client meeting, but do I have to prepare for it? Yes, probably I do. There's no indication here of when that meeting is or how urgent it is. So for now, we're going to put that here. Complete a critical report that is due by the end of the day. Okay, it's critical. It's important. I have to do it, and it has to be done by the end of the day. So it's going to come up here. Attend a team meeting to discuss project updates. Okay, I have to do that myself, but we don't know when it's going to be. So for now, we're going to put this on non-urgent. Conduct research, and so on and so forth. So as we do all of these, so follow up with potential leads and clients. This isn't anything I have to do. And there's no specific deadline. So we're going to put that one here. Okay. Delegate non-critical administrative tasks. Okay. That tells us pretty clearly we want to go down here. We can delegate it and it's non-critical. So we have what we need to know. So we'd go ahead and we'd continue sorting out these particular tasks until we've sorted everything on our to-do list. And then we can easily take a look. In this yellow box right here, this is the one where we're going to focus our energy on first and foremost. We're going to get all of those urgent tasks that only we can do off of our plate. We're going to delegate anything else that we can. And if we delegate any urgent tasks, we need to make sure that we are communicating the urgency to the person that we're delegating that to. If you are unable to delegate something, even if it's something that you could delegate, if there's an urgency to it, sometimes you'll want to keep that up here under I must do. Okay, so that's how we use the Eisenhower matrix. And that's kind of a quick little overview on how that particularly works. So going back to our slides here, some of the benefits is this really helps you to nail down the priority of your tasks. It helps you reduce wasted time working on things that you could either delegate to somebody else or that don't even need to be on your to-do list to begin with. And it sets you up for better decision making because every time you decide which of these quadrants that task belongs in, you're practicing making a decision. And the more you practice making decisions, the easier it becomes and the better you will get at it. It's important, though, when you're doing this, that you start with a very clear list of tasks. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what is on the list, then you can't really sort them, correct? Then you're going to want to really be honest with yourself about how truly important things are. So what's going to happen if it doesn't get done? Okay, is this the end of the world? Or is it maybe kind of okay? And don't forget to delegate when possible. All right. Anything that you can pass off to somebody else, you should do so that you're focusing on the things that only you can do. Excellent. Okay, so that takes us to the end of talking about the Eisenhower method. And so the last one is the time blocking method. And this is essentially a process where you plan and allocate time blocks for what you're going to work on throughout your day, including your breaks, your personal tasks, and things like that. So to give you kind of an idea of what this might look like, this is a Google Calendar. And here you can see I started off with this particular week. The first thing I want you to do is block your sleep time. Okay. If you have the luxury of having a somewhat repeatable life that's the same-ish every day, sleep needs to come first. Okay. It has health benefits, both physical and mental health benefits. And if you're not well rested, then it becomes more difficult to focus. It becomes easier to procrastinate. So it all starts with a good night's sleep. So I want to make sure that you get that on your calendar first. So in my case, my bedtime, and I like to try and go to bed a little earlier than 10 when possible, but really I need to be in bed by 10 o'clock. And that's because my alarm goes off every single morning at 5 a.m. And so at 5 o'clock every morning, I take 30 minutes for just me. Okay, that's my get up, take care of my morning routine, all of the personal hygiene things that we need to do. But see, there's a block here. I've blocked that off. Now I'm not going to list that down to every single minute, but I am going to make sure that that reflects on my routine. Then I have an hour here that I've set aside to work on tasks on my to-do list, and I'm just calling this a Pomodoro block. Okay, so then when I look at my calendar and I say, oh, okay, I've got a 1 hour Pomodoro block this morning, I can then decide what I'm going to work on in that time. Then I have an hour and a half where I wake up my family and I handle the morning routine with them. I still currently have a full time job. So you'll notice that I have time blocked off for work. I do work from home though. So it is really easy for me to be able to move back and forth between this morning routine, my personal lunch time, and my job time. So within these gray blocks you see that are represent my full time job, on my work calendar, I will further block those out to include things like meetings and important tasks. And then every evening, I allow myself 3 hours to spend with my family. This includes all of those things that you do, either whether you're actually interacting with your family, you're making dinner, you're cleaning the house. This is all of that stuff. And that's how I have it blocked off. And then I have another 2 hours into the evening where I set aside to work on my to do list before my 10 p.m. bedtime. So by blocking out my calendar each day, it allows me to stay focused on, okay, what should I be doing with my time right now? Because the only thing in this world that you can't get more of is time. So you want to make sure that you're using the time you have to the utmost efficacy. Okay, excellent. So let's go back over here real quick, back to our slides. So the benefits, again, of this time blocking method, as I said, is it allows you to really focus and concentrate on what you should be doing at that time. I hate that sentence, what you should be doing. Oh, sorry. It helps you to reduce multitasking. So you stay focused on the task at hand. And it also helps you to stay accountable. So maybe if you know that it's a Pomodoro block and you're watching TV, well, maybe you ought to turn off the TV and start working on your to-do list. It gives you that little bit of extra accountability. Then we want to make sure that you're setting specific goals for each time block. So as I showed you there, I just had times blocked off for Pomodoro, or what's what's happening, and that's in this case when it with those personal times, wake, personal, get your family up. That's good enough. That's the specific goal. If that's what I'm doing in that half hour is my me time, excellent. Now it says overloading the schedule. So I want to go back and show you that calendar again. And I know you're thinking, well, what do you mean don't overload the schedule? You have every single minute planned. Okay. And it looks like that, but I don't. Okay. So this hour here is very flexible. I know that I should be working on my to-do list, but I have the leeway and the flexibility to work on whatever needs to be done at that time. Same thing with my morning family routine. This may change a little bit. On Saturday, that morning routine shifts because we all sleep in a little bit. Okay, back to our presentation here. All right. Again, like I said, be flexible, adjust your time blocks as they need to be. Okay. So to wrap this all up, what I want to tell you is here's how you're going to use this all together. All right. We're going to go back to the calendar and we're going to come over here. All right. I bumped this out. So this morning Pomodoro block, I'm going to work on those urgent, important tasks. Okay. Remember, that's these. Anything that's urgent and I must do it, we're going to get started on those first thing in the morning. Your first Pomodoro block has those urgent, I must do it things. Then when you get into your next block, you'll finish up anything that you didn't get done here and you'll start to work on these non-urgent I must do things. Remember, anything you can delegate, you're going to delegate. So we should just be working with these top 2 boxes. And anytime you have a Pomodoro block, you should be working on it. So if you have urgent, I must do it tasks, you get those done first, and then you move on to anything that's non-urgent, combining it all together. So this first one should always be your urgent I must do's. Then you finish those up and you move on. So inside each of those blocks now, all right, so down here, I might be able to say, okay, I have an hour. So I'm going to run myself through 3 cycles. I'm going to work for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break. I'm going to work for 20 minutes and take a 5-minute break. And then I'm going to work for 15 minutes. That's my hour. And I got through 3 cycles. Now, hopefully, in that amount of time, I will have actually been able to accomplish one or more of the tasks in my urgent I must do list. Okay. So again, I want to thank everyone for taking time to come out and to listen to what I have to say today. I know I've just been talking and talking and talking. If you get a chance to watch this later, make sure you're saying #replay. If you have any questions, add those to the comment section and I will get back to you and respond to those. But anyhow, I just want to thank you one more time for coming out and listening to my presentation on Tomato President Calendar. I hope that there was something here for you. If you got anything out of this at all, please be sure and like this video. It helps. It helps with the engagement of the group. It helps to make sure that you see more content like this. So I just want to say thank you and have a great day.